We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.
For the Swiss captain Granit Xhaka, I've always been told this, and I hold on to it. It's not every time that somebody puts a microphone in front of you that you have to respond and say something. If you watch Dahmer, I think it's Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah, the killer in America, in Milwaukee, when he was sentenced to life in prison, the reporters went to his parents immediately. Comments on the sentencing of your son to life imprisonment for all the murders that he committed, and all they said was no comments. They didn't have to say a word. This issue about the armband, about whatever is happening in Qatar, should not be a concern for footballers at all. As he rightly said, your focus should be on the football. Yeah? Mm-hmm. If you want to protest, like I said earlier, everyone's got a right to protest. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to give your team that attention, Granit Xhaka, in my opinion, should simply have said, look, no comment. This is not our concern. And saying that Germany, we're not going to do like the Germans, and that's already bringing attention to your team. Because today I'm going to be watching out and see how Switzerland, and if they lose the game, will it be because Granit Xhaka spoke to journalists and said, let's concentrate on the football? Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. Argentina, as far as I remember, didn't involve themselves in any protest. Is that why they lost the game? Is it because they did not concentrate enough? That's why they lost the game.
But knowing
that's taking something away from the Japanese themselves. Japan really worked hard for their victory. Yes,
they did.
The Germans were better all round, had more possession and all the whatnots. But football is about taking your chances. The Germans didn't, and the Japanese did, and they got the better for it.
But can you blame Granit Xhaka?
When we make it all about the Germans and the political, ideologies and how they supposedly concentrate, that's taking something away from the effort that the Japanese put into the game. That's just all. But I'm going to be watching out for Switzerland and see how they perform, when they take to the pitch.
Well, I hope they lose, really, because they're playing an African team. But, can you blame Granit Xhaka? Because he was one of those captains who should or would have won the OneLove armband. Now, remember, Hugolais was asked the same question before the start of the World Cup, and his response was, if you go to somebody's land, you follow the rules.
Exactly.
He's trying to echo the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. In situations like this, because it's already heated up. A simple, like I said again, my opinion, a simple no comments. We're here to talk football. No comments. I've been to many press conferences at the AFCON and at the World Cup, and journalists, want to trip up the players. They want to ask very tricky questions, want to make themselves sound very intelligent, and the player looks at the journalist and says, "Look, I have no comments," and you have to move on because there's a coordinator there that's picking out journalists to ask questions, and if you don't want to answer, just say, "Look, let's move on to the next thing." You don't need to make a comment. You don't need to say all of these things.
All right, if I can jump in there. Today is the ultimate example of apples of oranges I've ever had in my life. We are talking about a multiple mass murderer and a football tournament. How on earth, in what realm of the universe is that related to each other? That's the ultimate apples and oranges.
No.
Mass murderer and a footballer who says it as it is. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. For me,
what is put in front of you.
You couldn't think of a more proper
thing. It's not. What do you mean by more proper? What does that mean? I'm talking about
a mass murderer and a footballer.
No, but it wasn't. No.
If high level, intense situations.
High level mass murderer and a footballer.
What his example.
What are you talking about?
His example here was when the journalists went to meet his parents, they said no comment.
No comment of a mass murderer and a footballer. I'm sorry, I don't get the correlation.
No, but this situation.
Tell me, can I finish, please?
This guy's ideology.
Whatever. I love what Hugo Lloris, and you see, if you don't see things, we are not obliged to see things the same way. You feel that everybody has a right to say anything they like to, And I feel respect. I've traveled widely in this world, quite a few places, 2 World Cups. And I remember you and I were in Russia. When I was in Russia, I minded my business. I was very careful where I went, what I said, and what I did. It wasn't a place.
Were you at any press conference in Russia?
That's not the issue. I'm talking as a citizen, as a football fan in Russia. Russia was not a place that you behaved anyhow.
Can we take it?
That this guy was clearly at a match.
We need to take a break. We need to take a break.
Excuse me. All he said was they're there to play football. You understand? And respect, and that's what Golori said, respects the culture of and the laws of the land. That's security, that's all it is. And that is my standpoint as well. That's my opinion.
But don't you think
they don't want people wearing black shirts at any time? They wear a white shirt, please. Or don't go. It's as simple as that.
You can't tell people not to. You can't tell people not to wear. Which is why FIFA. Which is why you cannot. Which is why FIFA. Hang on. Which is why FIFA intervened and said that you cannot tell the fans not to wear their rainbow-colored shirts or their caps to the stadium. That's border human rights violation. FIFA said
we need to go for a break now.
FIFA said it.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.